Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful, less on fire than usual, Los Angeles, California. Join the rest of the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Elias. Lee, how are you doing today as you chug your coffee, my friend?
There's nothing in the cup, Ray. It was all for show. I have
Oh,
not received my coffee yet. It's coming. It's
I
on
know.
the way. You have yours. I don't have mine. It's later in the day here. Ray, it's been hot. It's been stupidly hot here. I mean, I know you're used to
Mm,
that out there in Los Angeles,
mm.
but it's like uncomfortably hot here, like to the point that like air conditioners might not be doing the job well, kind of hot. So
So
hopefully that's going to end soon.
normal LA weather, basically.
Yeah, that's why I don't live there. But yeah, no, it's summer hot, but it's just we've had a heat wave here. It's been the 90s every day for 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
with storms coming through. So nothing has cooled it off. But
Mm.
the good news is, Ray, in 6 months, people will be bitching about how cold it is outside, and I'll be happy. I'll be like, it was 35 today, Ray.
Yes.
Perfect. Ray, listen, little change of plans here for the DoorDash Dash of the week. We're gonna table that. We did such a good job with last week's with nothing bundt cakes and DoorDash. Which please share that if you haven't seen that yet. But it was one of our favorite
Mm.
ones. Everybody got buntlets here. It was a great time. Because just quick announcement today, because one of my businesses, something we're doing for charity, I wanted to share. So one of my companies, Hockey Wraparound, which many of you know,
Mm.
serves the greater hockey population by allowing you to play hockey outside with our patented technology of the Hockey Wraparound, which you put it around your hockey stick, lets you use your hockey stick outside. So we have decided to team up with Mylek. Mylek is one of the
Mm.
biggest off-ice hockey companies in the world to create, Ray, you're going to love the name of this, MyBall. Ray, I'm holding in my hand my ball. All right, I'm not kidding. That is the name of this. But we had these yellow balls printed with the wraparound logo and the Mylek logo. It says "Hockey Never Stops." It really is called the MyBall by Hockey Wraparound. We expect our crowds to have a lot of fun with that name. Don't know why you would,
Yeah.
but here's the cool thing: we're selling these in 3 packs, not 2 packs. As
As you
three
hold two
packs.
up.
I have two, but we're going to be selling these in 3 packs. And this is the cool thing: every pack bought donates a day's worth of meals to a pup in need through the ASPCA. So if you buy three MyBalls, if you buy three MyBalls, you got to say it right, not three of, no, just three MyBalls by Hockey Wraparound and Mylek, you will feed a dog for a day. Seriously, that is the charity. We're trying to combine these things. Also, while there's a lot of different ways to play hockey off the ice, the street hockey ball is the classic,
Yes.
and Mylek has
Yes.
always been leading in the terms of that. So we said, what's the best hockey ball that you have? We want to put our name on it. We want to innovate it. We want to
Mhm.
make it MyBall.
Yeah.
So hockeywraparound.com or Amazon, buy a 3 pack of these, feed a dog for a day, goes to charity. You can play hockey outside, or you can use these balls for your pet. The ink is completely safe. I threw these at my dog last night. She loves running around for them. So it's also a dog toy. So MyBall for dogs and hockey. MyBall.
Yes. Yeah, I
Submit
wish I
tomorrow
had
your best slogan for this for MyBall, and we'll use it.
I
It is
wish I
that's
had
MyBall.
those my ball when I played street hockey
Well, there
back
you
in my high
go.
school days. Me and my friends, we used to, I don't know if you know this. I played a lot of street hockey in high school,
I
actually.
think everyone
Yeah.
did in the 90s. I mean,
Yes,
in the winter. That's what
absolutely.
you did, and
That was the
both our
thing,
teams
right?
were good.
We had
Yeah,
abandoned, you might remember, do you remember Foley Field and
very
Bloomfield?
well, very well.
They
Yes.
had abandoned tennis courts there. The nets were
That are
always
pickleball
down.
courts now, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, probably. But actually, I think for a while there, they also converted it into like a skate park, which just
Yeah.
didn't work because there's not a lot of skateboarders in Bloomfield. But yeah, and that's where me and my friends would play. We'd play street hockey on the abandoned tennis courts because it was always nicely paved. It was super smooth, but there was no nets and stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I had my ball when
Ray, we're
I
gonna
was
send
playing street
you
hockey.
my ball in the mail.
Amazing.
I'm gonna send you one of the my balls
Yeah.
in the mail.
And
I was discovered on street hockey, Ray. That's not a joke. I was rollerblading
wow.
outside playing hockey. There was a hockey coach that lived 2 doors down. He saw me skating. This is not a joke. I was 10, 11 years old, and he
Yeah.
told my parents, you have to get that kid on the ice now. His skating is perfect. It
Yeah.
wasn't, but like it was close enough.
It was good,
Um,
and that yeah, it
Good
was good
enough.
enough.
But that's how I discovered hockey, was in street hockey, and then obviously my ice
Yeah.
hockey career began because of playing outside in the street, just like you're talking
Yeah.
about, with a Mylek ball. It wasn't my ball, but it was
Mhm.
a ball. And this is the exact, I think this is the same ball that USA ball hockey uses, the National Ball Hockey
Yeah.
League. These are real things.
Yeah.
Um, MyBall by Hockey Wraparound. Check it out now, hockeywraparound.com or Amazon. Buy a 3-pack, feed a dog for a day. Come on. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
for sure.
You're going to let the
100%.
dogs not get fed, people? Is that what you're
Yeah.
going to do? Do you have MyBall to do what you need to do?
And then it's a toy for the dog too.
It's a toy for the dog too. We thought of everyone.
Everybody's involved.
And
yes.
Cat lovers will hate us, but we'll come up with something.
And that too. And also, folks, by the way, if you don't have a hockey wraparound, also, I'm being 100% serious here. Like, I wish I had a hockey wraparound back in the day because I ruined my hockey stick on that tennis court. But mind you, I didn't mind because then I fell in love with goaltending because then I moved to, when I ruined my stick, I moved into the
I bet you were a good
position.
goalie, Ray.
I actually was. I was making headbutt saves well before Henrik Lundqvist was. And that probably explains a lot of why I am the way I am today. Ruined that stick. I didn't mind it too much though because my uncle got me that stick, and my uncle is a Devils fan, and so he got me a red stick, and I'm like, I don't want a Devils stick. I don't want
that either.
And then my friend Joe Cucci, who I'll never forget this, he's like, well, to help keep it in, said you got to tape it up. And I'm like, oh, you got hockey tape? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'll do it for you. I'll do you. And I'm like, oh, great, Joe. I really appreciate this. And then he did it in red and black tape, and I'm like, those are Devil colors. He's like, well, you got a Devil stick. I'm not a Devil
stick. Who cares if they're going to win several Stanley Cups here at that time period?
I was a Ranger fan, but yeah. So so when the stick got ruined, I was like, I'm going to be the goalie.
Well, here's the big difference, Ray. When you and I were growing up, hockey sticks, top end hockey sticks would have been $30. Normal hockey sticks were $15 to $20. The street hockey stick was about that. Ice hockey sticks today, topping out around $400.
I was going to say I couldn't. My uncle would not be able to afford me a hockey stick.
Nobody can. Look at me. Nobody can. I'm in the game. At $400 for a top stick. Most of the time in that 350 to 360 level. It's ridiculous, but we made that because of I don't want any parent to have to deal with that now that I'm a parent having their sticks destroyed. So the wraparound protects that. But also as a young kid, I wanted to play with the same stick I was using in a game. Back then it was all wooden sticks, but now with the composites, the $400 sticks, $250 sticks, I'd want to use that outside, and the wraparound allows you to do that. Can you tell I've been doing this for 10 years with the ease that I've been saying this? But Ray, with the wraparound, we've added
MyBall,
and you can have a MyBall too. I cannot wait to see the marketing slogans that our fan base comes up with for MyBall. Wholesome fun in the shape of a ball for your dogs and for you. MyBall.
We got a big show for you though today, folks. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of economic stuff to talk about in terms of games and all the other fun stuff. We got some trailers and we also got a little bit of basketball news, a little bit of baseball news. And we've got Lee got his coffee. He's happy.
Thank you, producer Caitlin, for
Lee's got Starbucks. I have Dunkin'. It's a battle of the coffees.
It's not
here on Geeks Who Like Sports.
This is a latte. If I wanted a coffee, I would have got that. They are both equal opportunity drinks. One will give me a jolt. One will wake you up. We win that.
Yes, absolutely. And then I always just drink the cold brew because I need a jump start.
That's a jolt. Yeah,
that is a jump start. Absolutely. I need that. Okay, but anyway, we got a big show. We're talking about economics, and we're going to kick things off. This is a big deal for the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson signs a 4-year, $156 million extension. Now that sounds like a lot of money, folks. It is a lot of money. That's $39 million a year.
It is a lot of money. Yeah.
But Jalen, the big the reason why this is a story, not just that Jalen's going to be extended, obviously now well through his prime as a Knick, but that he took a massive pay cut. The maximum he could have made this contract could have maxed out with the way the NBA salary cap rules at close to, I think they were saying $225 million. He took a pay cut because he said, I want to make sure the funds can be allocated into other players because I want to win a championship. What a concept. A star player realizing that there's not really that once you're talking about 40 versus 50 million a year, it's really not that big a difference. And that if I win a championship in New York, I'll be set for life in ways that I can't even imagine. What a concept. He even said it. He was looking at guys like Derek Jeter, like Tom Brady, guys who restructured, like Patrick Mahomes, who restructured their contracts and took pay cuts from the team in order to win. Lee, what a concept here. Honestly, now, by the way, they're already building the statue to Jalen Brunson now in front of the Garden because this obviously has endeared him, and very rightfully so, to the entire fan base. But Lee, I mean, obviously, what else can you say? The guy's a leader. The guy's making the right move. He's obviously got his head on the right place. He's thinking clearly. I think this is fantastic. And I'm for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about the Knicks next year.
Well, look, Ray, this is what I'll say. I can't blame athletes when they want more money for their performance if that is their goal.
Yeah.
I don't rip on athletes for that. Adversely, I love when athletes do what Brunson has done here.
Yeah.
The roadmap for championships is never written easily, but there are some congruent factors to them, and this is one of them that people are willing to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. When I look at other teams out there, recent teams, boy, the Edmonton Oilers got really close to winning the Stanley Cup. If they only just had one or two more pieces on that team, they might have very well won that game 7. They got as close as you can. And people say, oh, they got all the way to game 7, but they didn't win.
Yep.
Close enough. I mean, look, you can be proud if you're an Oilers fan. You didn't win.
Yeah.
All right. And Florida had a lot of pieces.
Yes.
And when you look at any championship team, they've got a lot of pieces. So when a guy comes in the locker room, says, I'm going to take less money because I want to win, not only does that affect him in the city, it affects the team. Now, all his teammates, you got to mention them too. Now they're looking at this guy like, oh man, this guy wants to win. He's immediately injected that culture with a championship atmosphere. Now, I will say this too. Jalen obviously looked at the Sixers and said, we need more to compete with that team. I'm not trying to boast my Sixers, but the moves they've made this offseason have made them an immediate favorite.
Paul George coming over to the Sixers is a huge,
it's massive,
deal.
Right?
Yeah.
So I also love that this is in response to that. And the reason I love that, Ray, is now the Knicks and the Sixers suddenly have this rivalry again.
Yeah.
It has been there. Don't get me wrong.
And the Celtics, like when this is any sport, when Boston, New York, and Philadelphia are good, that is good for the sport.
We said it a million times about baseball. If the Yankees and the Red Sox are going at it, it's good for the game. I don't care what anybody else. And to be honest with you, but that hasn't happened in quite a bit of time now.
No.
Right?
Either we've been bad or they've been bad. It's not. We haven't really been.
But when they're both good, it's a world war. All right. So anyway, from a coaching standpoint, from a GM standpoint, when an athlete comes in the room and says, "I'm willing to do this," there must be belief from Brunson that the front office is willing to make the right moves to win them a championship. Because I'll tell you what, I would not take less money if I didn't believe in the organization. And what's funny is when you look at some of the lesser organizations who have a superstar, they won't do it because they don't trust that the organization is going to do that. Here's a team to keep an eye on right now over the next 5 years outside of basketball. Obviously, the Knicks are one now too, although there's a lot of competition. The Washington Commanders are a team that I think everybody needs to keep an eye on. They are going to rebuild that team. They're not looking to make a huge splash. My brother, who happens to be a season ticket holder, so we talk a lot about the Commanders, but it looks like they're going to do this roadmap correctly. That's a team to watch to see how they build these pieces, to see who they bring in, and build a football team that will, not if, it will be competitive in the NFC East and probably NFL within 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I was going to say probably 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be tomorrow. Another part of this, Ray, is understanding your window, right? You have a window of about 5 to 6 years if you're lucky. The Knicks are in that window right now, right in the middle of it. I wouldn't say they're towards the end of it. They're probably ending the first half of it. You got to understand that as leadership and know how to build around that. I think the days of long-term success, you might have a team that can make the playoffs for a really long time, but winning like a dynasty winning, that's really, really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Unless you got a guy like Patrick Mahomes who says, I'm going to take a pay cut, or a guy like Derek Jeter, icons,
or Tom Brady, or
legends, immortal athletes. Tom Brady, obviously.
Yeah, they all did it. They all took less money on their contracts in order to free up funds for other players.
Yeah. Brunson, go get a sneaker deal. Make
well, and that's the thing. And also, mind you, and again, speaking of his faith in the front office, he didn't sign his contract till after they made the trade for Bridges from the Nets, right? So now they're like, oh, you brought in Bridges? Oh, you re-signed OG? Okay, yeah, this is going to be a winning culture. As long as we stay healthy, which of course is always the caveat in any sport, the Knicks can be contenders next year. It sucked that we lost Hartenstein to free agency, but if Mitchell Robinson stays healthy, though, people will be fine. The Knicks are primed to do something going forward that hasn't happened in our lifetimes. The Knicks have not won in 50 51 years now.
A long time.
That's a long time for a place that's called the Mecca of basketball. That's a long time to go without a championship. So, great on Jalen Brunson. Makes me excited as a Knicks fan. You know what else is exciting? Speaking of basketball, you know what else gets people excited?
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. Her All-Star jersey sold out in a record 18 minutes, Lee. It is by far and away the best-selling jersey in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark, again, by the way, continuing to just rack up numbers and her and Angel Reese, by the way.
She's getting better, right?
Yeah, they're both getting better. But Caitlin Clark, that is a phenomenal accomplishment for her. Lee, what are your thoughts? And I mean, honestly, are we surprised at this point about the Caitlin Clark phenomenon?
No, we're not surprised at all. I just love how this is elevating women's basketball as women's sports and sports in general. The pushback period, as I call it, has kind of seemed to end. I don't hear too many people complaining about this anymore, like we did towards the start of it. Again, it's not just her and Angel Reese. It's the whole league is elevated to a higher level. Get the Olympics coming up here. They're on the Olympic break now. The Indiana Fever, for those of you not following, in a playoff contention spot right now.
Yes.
Right. Not near the top of the league, but they're in that contention spot.
Yeah, I think right now they would be the final seed, I believe, in the playoffs. But
I can look it up. Yeah, they were, when I saw it, they were second from last, but they were.
Yeah, they're 11 and 14, and that puts them. Yeah, you're correct. They're the 7 seed. That is, they are the 7 seed. Yeah, no, they are the 7 seed. Yeah. Chicago, by the way, Angel Reese is Chicago Sky. Yeah. 1 full game back of them at the 8th seed, and my New York Liberty top of the league.
Yeah, listen, here, it's going to be a good setup here. I don't think the Fever win anything this year, but they are going to clearly become a destination team for a lot of people. I mean, who wouldn't want to play there, right? Yeah. And same thing with Chicago. I'm not negating them either, but this is awesome. It's awesome to watch. It's fun to watch. I love putting it on my TV. The games are exciting. The last game I watched, again, the game before the All-Star break, she was about to break the assist record for the Fever. But it was funny because nobody could sink a basket at the end. It was a high intensity game. Right. But I mean, every game she's doing something crazy. And again, it's not all about her. It's about women's sports and sports in general. But no, I'm not surprised that her All-Star jersey sold out in 18 minutes. Whether she wanted this or not, she is now the face of that side of sports. I mean, she's lifting it up, and Angel Reese is in that too. It's not one person, don't get me wrong, but Caitlin Clark is getting obviously the fair share of the attention on this. But
yes,
man, it's great stuff.
Yeah, no, phenomenal. And
by the way, she's getting paid a fraction of what Jalen Brunson is getting paid. But
by the end of her career, if things keep going this way, that may change.
Yeah, we will in the future. I promise to come back to this. I am not about equality when it comes to pay from a business standpoint. The WNBA does not make what the NBA makes. So in that sense, the athletes don't get paid what NBA athletes get paid. It can make the same argument about NHL athletes versus NBA athletes. They don't get even close to what NBA athletes get. But you will see now, because of the rise of women's basketball, the salaries start to go up. When you show up to the games, when you watch, when they get sponsorship deals with TV, the money comes in and the salaries go up. That's how you support. That's what fans provide, right? So I hope to God salaries start to go up, and I hope to God you can see that this is how it works from a business standpoint. We are finally seeing equality in coverage, which is great.
Yes, which is definitely going to help all that. So in terms of money
you
equality,
you don't get to make $156 million a year because Brunson does. That's just not how that works, right? It's a business. You get. I mean, you want to put the league out of
money
business,
needs to be the money needs to be there in order to give you that money. And that's the thing. So, and it's going to get,
that's across the board. It's not women or men. This is just across the board. That's just, I would love to pay myself $156 million over 4 years. I'll be out of business in 3 months. If not even, I'll be out of business in a
3
month.
seconds.
3 seconds. I'll be out of business doing that. I need to rethink how I do my business. 150.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I'm just really quick because we are geeks, right? I just want to do this real quick. 156 million.
Yeah.
So 1,000, 1.5 million, 15 million. There it is. Divided by 4, that's 39 million a year.
Yes.
Divided by 12, is $3.25 million a month.
A month.
Divided by 30, because we're going to work every day in this business,
Yep.
is $108,333 a day. I could make it about a week before we went under.
There you go.
A week and a half.
There you go. And if I just had that salary for a month,
yeah,
I could retire.
Well, I'd be arrested, Ray, very quickly too, because it would be like I'd be stealing basically.
You'd be like embezzling or something at some point to make that money.
I mean, legally, I get it. Legally, I could do it.
Okay.
I would be murdered by my coworkers.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. By the way, that's not what I don't make anything near that. I'm talking about if we took all the money that the company made globally. Okay. Someone did the math out there and figured that out. Anyway, I was very vague. Wink, wink.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway,
get us out of this segment, Ray.
So moving on from money matters to we're moving on from basketball now over to baseball. Actually, we're gonna start off with a very fun baseball story. We got a lot of fun stories today. This one I was really surprised by. JD Schlatten, who is a congressman. JD Schlatten.
Don't be a schlot. Don't be a schlot.
He wasn't. He went. He was serving as his Iowa State representative, and he got a call from an old pitching coach because he used to play baseball, played college ball, played independent league ball, and for a couple of years. And he's 44 now, and he hasn't pitched in any kind of professional game since he was 27. But for whatever reason, his old coach called and said, "I have no pitchers. I have nobody. Can you please come help me out?" And JD Schlatten was like, "I'll be there in an hour, coach." And not only did he get to that game, not only did he start that game, he went 6 2/3 innings, gave up only 2 runs, and got the win in that game in Sioux City, Iowa. Holy cow. This dude, screw Congress. He should go back to baseball.
Yeah.
Like,
he won't do that.
Right
There's
now,
more money in Congress.
That's true. There is more money probably in Congress than in your Major League Baseball. But still, I mean, this was just a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal story. And honestly, amazing that his old coach could call him up and he was like, "I'm ready, coach. I'm ready." Lee, if one of your coaches called you up and said, "Lee, we need you to come play wing right now in some sort of independent league," could you do it?
Is there checking?
I would imagine at least some light checking.
So it's funny you bring this up, right? In a checking league, I'd probably turn it down because my left shoulder is worse than anyone realizes, to the point that when they do cut me open for my shoulder replacement one day, I think they will look at it and go, "How the hell were you playing?" But I was being considered. I turned it down, but I was being considered for a special teams situation with a very high level team recently, where they said, like, they were really approaching me like, "Look, what if we just put you out in the penalty kill? That's not a situation you're probably going to get hit. Like, you're very experienced on the PK." And it's like, there was a minute I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I was so flattered that they would even think that. At 40 years old, Ray, I could probably hang in there for a shift or two, but I do not have the endurance. I do not have the ability that I used to have 10, 15 years ago. But if it was, look, I'm trying to think of a sport I could play. I mean, where I'm not going to get destroyed. I mean, pitching one game is not most likely going to do too much to you physically.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Playing wing against a team that can hit.
Yeah, that might be a different scenario for sure.
I'll tell you right now. How about this? If my left shoulder was as good as my right, just to keep it equal.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I would do that in a heartbeat.
There you go.
I would also be in way different shape because I would have 2 working arms. Here we go.
That's fair.
You're watching. Both my thumbs are up now, right?
It took you a second, but you got there. We're gonna get you a left arm like Cable.
Listen, I joke with the people, my PT people, like, "When are you bringing me the new arm?" I would take a Cable arm. I would even take a White Wolf arm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Winter Soldier. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we'll talk a little bit more about that world later in the show.
Yes, we will. That's called a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-huh.
But wrapping up with baseball last night. Tonight is the
Wow.
home run derby. We'll talk about that next week. But tonight is or last night, I should say, was the home run derby.
Mhm.
To Oscar Hernandez of the Dodgers outlasted Bobby Witt Jr. Of the Royals in the final, even though everybody was pulling for Bobby Witt because
Yep.
I mean,
Hernandez
I
barely
think
got to the final, by the way. Barely got
yeah,
to
also, because everybody hates the Dodgers. That's really what it is. Nobody wants to see the Dodgers win anything ever. But good for Oscar Hernandez. He was celebrating with his former teammate Vlad Jr. of the Jays because they played a long time together. And good for him. And yeah, and that's a big deal. Honestly, anytime you get that kind of individual award, it's always nice in the game. Of course, the other big story. I don't know if you saw this, Lee. A lot of folks were ragging on the girl who sang the national anthem.
Yeah, and there's been breaking news in that today.
Breaking news. So country singer Ingrid Andress, I hope I'm saying that right. 32, and as she describes herself, a 4-time Grammy loser.
I got you're already getting the vibe right there. I kind of respect her for that though.
Yeah. She basically said and admitted that she was drunk during the national anthem last night, and that she has now admitted herself to rehab and has apologized to her fans and to Major League Baseball. And so if you heard the cat in heat, that was her attempt at the national anthem last night.
The runner up to the final Alec Boehm, Philadelphia Philly, just missed out on the finals in the extra innings. Yeah. Laughing while she was singing. He was the only one who had the guts to kind of laugh during this thing. Like, what is going on? I give her a lot of credit, because this was an insult to the national anthem. That's how
awful.
Bad this was. It's going to go down as probably the worst of all time. I mean, they were saying this is the worst thing since Fergie did it. I'm like, Fergie's was way better than this. All right. Give her a lot of credit for just coming out today. Be like, yeah, I was drunk. I've got a problem. I will see you on the other side. That's just like, wow. God bless you. That's the most American thing she could have done.
Absolutely.
She did it well.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Yes.
And I love a country in which we can talk about the American anthem one day being destroyed with everything else that's going on in this country right now. Top news, Ray. I gotta I love this.
Top of the ticket right there.
I love this country.
Wow. Yeah. But congratulations to Oscar Hernandez, and good on Ingrid for going and getting help. So
in all seriousness, that's how you do it.
Yep.
If you got a problem, if you got an addiction, the first step to fixing any problem is admitting it. She did it right away, and she shared that with the whole world.
Yeah.
Joking aside, I have an immense amount of respect for someone who takes the accountability and the responsibility in something on that big of a stage and says, "No, I messed up." If that does not empower other people, I really don't know what will.
Well, and for her, that had to have been rock bottom to be embarrassed like that in a national audience. Like, we all saw it, and we at least saw the replay, and that's going to live in infamy now for forever.
Well, a lot of people could just ignore it and just, oh, no, I had a bad night. I mean, no, she owned it. She owned it. I mean, I just have so much respect for that. Politicians could learn from that, right?
They could.
We're not going to go there today, but that's across the board.
But that's
listen, I screwed up. I'm going to leave now. I'll see you on the other side.
Yes. And that's about it for sports today. Very truncated sports section.
It wasn't truncated. Just the middle of the summer.
Well, that's what it is. And next week's deal, not.
I love February and October where it's like baseball, football, basketball, hockey, and
it's just
some
sports. But yeah, we know. Not next week, the week after we'll have Olympic talk.
Yeah. So, there's some fun stuff to talk about there. I mean,
because the Olympics start in 10 days from recording now.
Well, yeah, and you know what's interesting, Ray, is that there's no, to my knowledge, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there's no Michael Phelps. There's outside what's her name, Ledecky.
I was gonna say Katie Ledecky would probably be that.
There's really no like legacy Olympians that are.
I mean, her and probably Simone Biles and gymnastics.
Simone Biles, 100%. Yes. Simone Biles and her are the legacy.
Those are the two faces. I would say they are the faces of this Olympics.
Yeah. I almost had Simone Biles a level above the Olympics in my mind, but that's a very fair point. But I think all eyes are going to be on basketball, track and field, like always.
Dream team, and exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and in baseball, right?
I mean, in baseball is coming back to the Olympics in 4 more years. So we're going to be focusing on So yeah, the Olympics in baseball for the next, because that's right around when the Olympics start. It's also going to be hopefully baseball hot stove heating up. So no big moves have been made as of yet, but we've got 2 weeks to the deadline. Right now, the draft is going on as well.
Can we talk about just real quick the Phillies and the first half? Best team in baseball. And they had a hell of a first half. And that was the best first half I've ever seen. Now you got to do the second half. You got to make that work.
And then you got to do the playoffs.
And the playoffs. The Phillies, though, we talked about this a few episodes ago.
They are driven.
They're driven. And remember, someone was making fun of them for playing below 500 teams. They now have the best record against above 500 teams. So if you don't think the real deal, barring a really unlikely collapse in terms of like really bad, they're a great baseball team.
They are a great baseball team, and it's why I've been saying for weeks. Actually, I said at the beginning of the year. To be fair, at the beginning of the year, I said Baltimore and Atlanta, and then after all the injuries, about a month into the season, I was like, oh, it's gonna be Baltimore and Philadelphia.
Yeah, to be fair to you, those injuries played a role into it for Atlanta heavily.
Sure. They'll still make the playoffs, but they're not gonna go anywhere.
Ray, last show you had a full out rant. You had a full out rant about your Yankees.
Yeah, we're going nowhere.
But you're one game back from the division lead. You don't want to talk about that for a second?
So the thing is, it's how the Yankees have gotten here. The Yankees got off to the best start in baseball. You got to remember, the Yankees were the first team actually to 50 wins. Mm-hmm. Since then, we've gone 8 and I think 18 in that point, in that stretch. And that's the problem, and that's why I ranted last week, is that this is a team that looks like they just got off to a hot start, and then everybody figured them out, and they don't know how to course correct because their manager's a moron. They don't know how to draft because their general manager's a moron. The Yankees have had a bad draft. The Yankees have had a bad baseball draft so far. I'm going to say it, folks. I'm sorry. It's been a bad draft.
Ray, you're one game back. It's all in front of you. It's all right there in front of you, Ray.
We're moving on to Star Wars.
It's one game back here. It's all in front. Speaking of all in front of you,
it's a miracle that Baltimore has been playing just as bad as us. But now Cleveland is. It's
going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the AL. But speaking of, it's all in front of you tonight. The final episode of what could be the only season or season 1 of the Acolyte will debut. And Ray, I think you're going to agree with me here. We'll discuss episode 7, which Ray and I both think was a waste of time.
Horrible.
Tonight's episode is going to make or break this entire show. I mean,
100%.
People, you can say that about every last episode. Not true at all. X-Men, every episode made the show.
Yeah.
Right? Several shows have been, wow, that was a great episode. That was a great episode. If this thing does not hit tonight, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a really bad backlash. There's already people. This is funny, Ray. I don't know if you know this. It's one of these trending things. A lot of people want the Acolyte to come back for a season 2, and there's like a trending thing like bring back the Acolyte. And I'm sitting here, who's a huge Star Wars guy, like I need to see what's going to happen tonight before I 100%. Jump on any train.
100%
series back.
And I know there's a lot of folks who's been obviously. I went on RPAD TV, my buddy Raymond Padilla's podcast last week, talking about review bombing. Because of my experience as a reviewer, and they're like, why is the Acolyte getting review bombed? I'm like, because it's for a lot of folks, it's not hitting. And at least this far, there's a lot of, first off, people like to speak in binary. It's either good or it's bad. So if it's good, they give it a 10. If it's bad, they give it a 1.
Not fair, right? Yeah.
But the fact that everybody seems to be giving this a 1,
which I don't agree with, by the way, but yes.
I don't agree with either. I mean, it's definitely, again, people don't have the nuance to necessarily do that, but it is definitely a lot of this show isn't hitting, and for very good reason. And the last episode in particular is a perfect example of this. I have been highly critical of every talk. You can go back to the previous episode, folks, of the pacing and of the writing and of the bloat in this series. And episode 7 was nothing but bloat. This could have been folded into episode 3. This could have been a 10-minute precursor to the finale. This was a 44-minute episode, the second longest episode of the series, and it was a waste of time. We got maybe 3 minutes of worthwhile content in this 44-minute episode because it's basically everything we already saw in episode 3, just from Soul's perspective, and we get so little that's different that it did not need to be a 44-minute episode. I don't know if you needed to promise Carrie Ann Moss more screen time. I don't know if you needed to I don't know what the deal was, but this was by far the worst episode of the entire show so far. And as the penultimate episode, that scares the hell out of me going into tonight.
Yeah, I'll say a few things. I don't agree that it was the worst episode out of context, meaning that if this was just the episode that it was supposed to be, I would have been okay with it.
Sure.
In context, though, I'm with you. It was kind of a waste of time. Now, if people from Star Wars would hear, they'd be saying, "Well, you got to wait till the final episode. There's reasons that we did that." I don't care about your reasons. The pacing is off. I mean, if the pacing is not off to you, it means you expected me to binge it. And if you expected me to binge it, you needed to make it bingeable.
Yeah,
right?
You needed to release everything at once.
But Ray, you're right. I mean, either they should not have shown us episode 3 and waited till now, which I think would have actually worked.
That would have. I agree. That would have worked.
If they kind of skipped over episode 3 and we kept going, and then we understood, like in an hour episode, here's everything that happened in the past.
Which I said when episode 3 came out, I was like, this feels like a weird place for this episode.
It was weird. Yeah. And again, because it didn't accomplish anything back then either, except explaining, what's it called? May has motive. Right.
And which, by the way, this episode only confirmed that, May basically is the cause of everything.
Right.
That's all that did. There's no secret thing.
Well,
it's
look, the spoilers from this episode.
Spoilers. Soul freaked out when the mother turned into a dark force dust cloud, and I get that, and he stabbed her in the gut.
Well, and here's the deal, is that we didn't need to wait to know that. We assumed that something else happened after episode 3. So what they should have done is not done episode 3. Got us here. This would have been a great penultimate episode with that. Okay, now I know where we're going, but not just confirming things. Now, the only great things that came out of this episode, there was a few things, and that's why I said I'm not ready to damn it is the worst episode. It's just out of place. I think that's a fair statement, right? The big things that came out of this episode was the mentioning of the Night Sisters, which we have talked about many times on the show. They had waited till now to mention that. The Night Sisters are basically the witches of the Star Wars universe. They go to Dathomir. This is where Darth Maul comes from. This is where Asajj Ventress comes from, which I wonder if that's going to be something that happens here, or that there's something hinted about that. That's number one. The number 2 thing was they talked about a vergence in the Force on this planet. It has been confirmed that Osha and May are not the virgins. They have actually came out and said that for whatever reason they wanted to confirm that. So basically what they're saying is they're not Anakin Skywalker. That's what they're saying. It's a different thing from Anakin. The fact they needed to say that's a problem. But what they are saying is that there's some dark side virgins on this planet that is allowing it to stay alive. I don't know if that's going to play into it anymore. It doesn't matter, because as we turn into the final episode, the problem with this episode is it didn't answer enough questions about Khmer, about the dark side, about what's happening, right?
Yeah, about Brendock, about any of that.
Yeah. Right. So now we're kind of here in the situation of the questions that we have are, okay, how did the Jedi play into this long term? What's going to happen to all the characters? What is the purpose of May and Osha, who are basically, it sounds like one person that's been split in half.
Yeah, one light, one dark. Yeah.
Right.
Which we kind of figured from the beginning anyway.
Right. Well, here's the problem. Right. And again, look, going into episode 7, I would have probably given this series somewhere between a 6 and a 7 overall. But that episode dropped it down to a 5 or a 6 for me.
100%. I'm at a 5 right now.
Yeah,
dropping.
It's not crap. I don't want to poo-poo on it, because I've enjoyed it. There's aspects of it I've enjoyed. Yeah. But tonight's finale is either going to make it like a 7 or 8, or unfortunately like a 4 or 5, depending on what happens. Or it might just stay at a 5.
Yeah.
Now
it's very much She-Hulk territory, it feels like.
It's dangerous what they've done here, right? The pacing is poor. Now,
which, by the way, we loved She-Hulk until the last episode.
Oh, it's brutal to the end. Yeah. Just it's tough to think about. What I'm hoping for tonight, all right, is I would love to see Osha and or May, or both of them, if they survive, go to Dathomir and start the Night Sisters there. I think that's
proper
a good,
Night Sisters.
Yeah, that's a good connection point for the larger Star Wars universe. It gives you room to grow, that there's a whole nother universe there that could be outside of this show. That's number one. I think Kamir is going to get killed. I don't think he survives.
I agree with that. Yeah.
The big win for me, if they do this, they'll kind of probably win me over, is if Kamir is the apprentice to Darth Plagueis, the Wise.
Yeah.
And that is the Virgins, is that he's growing life, and that's why they're there on that planet, is to understand more about that. If they don't connect that, barring some left, barring some curveball I can't think of, it's going to be tough. This is going to be a tough ending.
Also, they don't mess with Venestra. Don't make her.
Yeah, I worry about them making her a villain because she
100%.
I mean, look, most likely, Kamir turned to the dark side and she was defending herself or something. Okay,
right?
Because she's been painted as a hero in the expanded universe for as long as she's been in the High Republic era. So it would be so weird for them to just make her a horrible person.
Yeah.
Now she may be sacrificed in this episode. Like, obviously she's going to play into this. She's going to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Kamir will have my old master. Ha ha. But like, it would make sense for Plagueis to come in, for her to kill Kamir or something like that, and then Plagueis to come in and kill her. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to bring Plagueis in. I don't know if they have the guts to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of these Star Wars directors and writers are trying to get away from the Skywalker saga. And my attitude's like, well, Plagueis is not really Skywalker saga. You're 100 years away. It's his own thing. And Plagueis is a great character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you read about him, he's brilliant. I mean, and it explains Palpatine. I mean, you can strengthen Palpatine with this guy.
Right.
So,
well, and that's the thing is like, I get that folks want to try and have Star Wars operate in a vacuum for their certain stories, but you can't do that.
No.
You really can't at this point with the fandom and with the canon and everything. Like, everything's connected. And like, again, to your point, like, yes, I want to getting away from the Star Wars saga, but to your point, Plagueis is so far removed from the Skywalker
he's never
saga.
Appeared in any films. He's been mentioned once.
Once. And it's like, I think it's going to require a Plagueis appearance for me to be.
Well, that's what I hope for. I don't mean an after credits appearance. I mean, I would like him to be revealed as the villain, right? And this is going to sound bad, but I'm kind of hoping they wipe everybody out, to the sense of that's why nobody knows about it. You kind of have to have a tragic ending to this, but I don't know if they have the guts to do that. And just really quick, Ray, there's so many Star Wars stories that they could tell outside of the Skywalker saga, but Cade Skywalker, follow me, friends, which takes place 100 years after A New Hope, when Luke is far gone, and Cade, who's kind of a scoundrel, is haunted by the ghost of Luke Skywalker, which you could still do. That was a great storyline. Or Bane, go back really far to this Jedi versus Sith Wars. That would have been a great time period.
The origin of the Rule of Two.
Well, people go, well, I mean, nobody cares. Let me tell you the stories of the video games I played growing up. Okay, like you're crazy. There's so many times that people have loved that and want that. So we'll see. I'm going to say it again. The episode 8 hasn't come out yet. You're sitting at a neutral place with me right now. You will make or break this tonight. I'm going to say this again. I'm not one of those people that if my predictions don't come true, I don't automatically hate it. Right? Yeah. I like to be surprised in a good way.
Sure, if it makes sense, absolutely.
But I just, knowing Disney and Marvel and Star Wars, it's like, man, I don't know if you can do this in 45 minutes. So
They've really painted themselves into a corner.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of things that we will see what happens with, I was a little surprised they released this trailer when they did. I thought they would have. I mean, it probably will be in front of Wolverine and Deadpool, but I thought they would have saved it for that. And then being like, oh, hey, you want to see the new Captain America Brave New World trailer?
They purposely did it ahead of conventions and the
well, that's right, because also Comic-Con's next week. That's true.
Right. Yeah. They knew exactly what they were doing with this, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's going to be so Captain America Brave New World trailer. We got some really interesting looks at villains. We got Giancarlo Esposito as George Washington Bridge. That's actually his name. That is actually a character in the comics.
George Washington Bridge.
GW Bridge, who's a mercenary. He's both been a good guy and a bad guy in the comics. And I kind of wonder if he's going to be a pawn for one Thunderbolt Ross, now played by Harrison Ford, who, of course, they do the wink and the nod to. Obviously, he's replacing the now deceased William Hurt in that role. as the president, who then becomes the Red Hulk.
Red Hulk.
Yes, and we see the Red Hulk catch Captain America's mighty shield and slam it to the ground.
Yes. Well, quickly, for those of you who don't know, Red Hulk, an extremely intelligent version of the Hulk, basically, that's not Bruce Banner, has immense power. At one point, took on Thor, picked up the hammer. He's destroyed the universe. He's become very powerful. None of which you will see in this film. But I just want to let you know from a Hulk standpoint, he's very, very powerful.
Yeah, incredibly powerful. And I think that GW Bridge it's going to be a almost fitting with what we're talking with what happened this week. I think they're going to feign an assassination attempt on Thunderbolt Ross as the president, and that's going to give him the excuse to become the Red Hulk. I think that's what they're going to do in the film. And then basically when Sam Wilson's like, "You can't do that," he's like, "You're not Steve Rogers." Bam. And then we'll have that for 2 hours. Yay!
Listen, it from a trailer standpoint, it's the first Marvel trailer I've seen in a while. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine on its own plane of existence, but it's the first Marvel trailer I've seen in a while. I was like, this feels good. This feels like Marvel. Yes. This feels like what we used to watch, right? Yes. I mean, you mentioned Steve Rogers, but it feels pretty good. I was impressed with it, right? And also, as everyone's been talking about, they're referencing the Eternals, and my guess, Ray, is that they are going to be mining that Eternals corpse, if you will, for precious metals or precious materials that help to make him the Red Hulk. Yes. There's going to be some gamma, something,
a little gamma, a little power cosmic, little all that stuff mixed in there. Yeah,
and that's going to be how he gets his powers. But I'm glad they're acknowledging it at least. The only thing that could ruin this movie is if the Eternals show up.
Yes. Well, hopefully that won't happen. But speaking of the Eternals, Kumail Nanjiani, who was in the Eternals,
he was
now rumored to be joining the DC universe as one Booster Gold.
It is a great casting.
He is hysterical. He is obviously still in superhero shape from when he got the Eternals. That's great. DC's like, hey, Marvel paid for your workouts. Great, come be Booster Gold for us.
I could see him like, well, they said I was going to be in another movie soon. You're not. Come on over.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think this is a great chance for him to really show off his comedic abilities that we all know he has. He's a very, very funny comedian and a good actor. And Booster, obviously the most lighthearted of superheroes, chasing fame and fortune, and just kind of sometimes ends up as a hero on the side anyway. But obviously Booster Gold has a heart of gold. He has some really great story arcs.
He's one of my favorite characters. You've known that for many, many years, but Booster Gold is in a way, the Deadpool of DC minus fourth wall breaks in the sense of how he's able to speak. Again, his robot companion Skeets, that's going to be an interesting casting, is who's going to voice Skeets.
Yeah.
And how are they going to even do Skeets? I mean, I hope it's exactly like it is.
Absolutely.
It would make sense, but
I'm going to say Jack Black.
He's done a lot of robots, but I'll just say this. It's a great casting. People were fighting. I'm like, guys, that makes total sense.
Yes.
You've probably never read the comics if you don't think this makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. But Booster Gold is a great story. As Ray said, someone after money and fame, but does have a heart of gold.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, part of the reason, I mean, I'm fortunate. Part of the reason why that people were fighting this rumored casting, is, of course, is that Kumail is a brown man and Booster is not.
Well,
not in the comics, but it really doesn't matter.
In the real world, Ray, statistically speaking, that's exactly what would happen 100 years in the future.
There you go. So, but like, honestly, people, it's a good casting. Grow up.
Casting.
It's a great casting. Get over yourselves.
What are you gonna do next? The Little Mermaid? Everyone knows mermaids.
Fictional characters.
Everyone knows mermaids have a distinct. I can't even say it's not laughing. It's a mermaid. It's not even a human, but we know, America.
Yeah. Oh God. Anyway, actually, I'm going to
combine. Speaking of gods, no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm going to combine a couple of stories for later. We're going to skip around in the rundown. Going to jump down to, speaking of comics, we've been in a lot of comics. This is a big deal. Penguin Random House, who now is basically the biggest book publisher left.
Which used to be two, Penguin and Random House, but now Penguin Random House.
There used to be many book publishers.
Many children. Let me
Yes.
sit by the fire. Let us tweet to each other about the old publisher. You can't even say tweet anymore.
Yes.
Let us
No.
Snapchat to each other about the old publisher.
Yes. Well, TikTok. Um, buys Boom. Boom Comics, of course, one of the lesser, not lesser, but smaller indie book labels. But this is a big, big deal because obviously now everything that Boom has in their catalog, and of course, like Power Rangers and Keanu Reeves's book Berserker and the Firefly book and so many other stuff that they have and have done over the years is now under Penguin Random House, which unfortunately also means a ton of layoffs over at Boom, like what happens with every merger under the sun. But it also means that now Boom and some of these labels now have the backing of a major publishing label, and they could possibly increase their reach. It could possibly lead to movie deals and things like that. I'm sure, even though I don't think that's what he ever planned, but I'm sure now Keanu's Berserker could get turned into a film if it wasn't already, or wasn't plans for that already. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of interesting things as again, just more, everything's merging. Everything's merging. More's mergers, more. So Boom Comics, now part of Penguin Random House. Leave your thoughts.
Well, I'm glad that publishing is taking up comics, aside from them going into the ground and dying. So I think it's a good thing that they're consolidating and that there's a place for comics in the publishing world.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do from here. But to me, Ray, this is almost like archiving, right? They're just making sure there's a home for these things to go because everything is digital now. So good on Penguin Random House for because it's probably not a winning investment when you think about it. They want to make it one, but it's probably not right now. That's why they're doing it.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, they've got some IPs there they can do something with, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
Comics are not going anywhere. It's just how they're received, I think.
Exactly. And speaking of how things are received and things becoming digital, we've actually got a couple of stories that we can kind of just all combine into one. We're going to start with Redbox is officially dead. Not really that surprising for those who don't know what a red box is. It basically be outside grocery stores or in malls or
the future of movie renting.
And it was basically you could just pay a few bucks and you could get your DVD or game rental right there. Just
a rental
right
kiosk.
Out. It's a vending machine. It's a vending machine. Basically.
It was brilliant when they came out. I remember because they came out around the same time as blockbusters were existing and Netflix was just getting started. But yeah, you would go to the corner to get your video. It was a lot faster than going there. It was a brilliant machine. You would return it there. It was easily done.
Yes. And it was a lot easier than dealing with video rental guys like myself in brick and mortar stores.
I wish they made a Ray box because the Ray box went, what do you want?
Yeah.
I said to you yesterday, we're out of Titanic. The ship sinks. Spoiler alert. Get over it. Would you like to watch something else?
Oh, I actually did that the other day to a person who was like, have you seen Iron Claw? I'm like, of course I've seen Iron Claw. And they're like,
no.
And then I'm like, they're like, oh, I don't know I don't know anything about it. I'm like, I'm going to save you 2 hours. They all die.
Yeah. I rarely do that, but I'm like, you don't need to watch this. Let me just tell you what happens.
If you're not a wrestling fan, you don't need this.
Right. Right. It's depressing, but no, look, Redbox, had its place, had its time. Nobody needs to do that in a digital era anymore. So
no.
Again, listen, all great ideas fade if you're not willing to evolve.
Yes. And if those who don't know, Lee and I are referencing, I worked in a video store during college for 3
Town Video.
Years. It was Town Video. Yes,
Town
exactly.
Video.
In Montclair. I was yes, you did. Yeah, I always appreciated it to help me get through those long,
nothing's really
shifts.
Changed. Still having the same conversations 20 years later.
Yeah, pretty much.
We need to make Ray box.
The movies and the books and games have changed, but the conversations have stayed the same.
I can see Ray box. You've selected the Acolyte. You don't want to get that.
Nope, that's bad. That's bad choice.
Sure?
Bad choice.
Are you really sure? Are you sure you don't want to try this Batman animated film?
Yes, exactly.
Ray box.
It's like, look, just if you're really gonna watch the Acolyte, just watch episodes 1, 4, 5, and 8. That's it. You can skip over the rest.
And after tonight, we'll be able to tell you if you need to watch any of them.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah, no, those were the days. Yeah, working I was Randall from Clerks, basically, in real life.
You really were. There was some shady characters that came in there. I remember helping you at one point rewind some of the videos. Great candy selection, great popcorn selection. They had good snacks there.
Yeah, that is true. That. We had a really good snack section.
That was always stood out to me. All right, Ray. Yeah. For this next topic.
Yes.
This is something that I have been saying literally for years. And I believe what we're about to talk about is the first explosion, if you will,
Yeah.
in something I've predicted. And I want my effing flowers for this because
Yes.
I got a lot of kickback from people, and I am going to post this as a mini clip. I got a
Yes.
lot of crap from people with this prediction saying that'll never happen. You're wrong. And it's not only happening,
Yeah.
but it's going to be happening fast.
Yes. We've talked about this, both of us, for a while now, and it is finally here. Gaming without consoles is officially going to be a thing. Amazon has announced a bundle where you will get a Fire Stick and a controller, and I believe your first month of Game Pass for Xbox. And it's basically you plug in the Fire Stick, and then you can download your games.
You got Xbox
right to your TV. That's it.
All right. Funny enough, Ray, on the eve of this announcement, last night I was watching Netflix.
Yes.
And I'm not kidding you. It said to me, the Netflix said to me, do you want to play GTA 5?
Yeah.
Because you can play it right now on Netflix.
Yeah, you're getting your Netflix gaming. By the way, I've sent you guys a bunch of resumes. Netflix gaming, please, I can help you.
You can help.
I can help you.
Because I didn't even know about this until they said that thing to me last night.
Yeah,
guys,
no, Xbox gaming, Xbox been investing a lot in gaming because this is the future. It's not just going to be Microsoft and Amazon. It's going to be Netflix. It's going to be Apple TV and all that stuff. Gaming is going to, their consoles are going to go extinct.
Yes.
Disk drives are already basically extinct. It is all going to just come down whoop, through your Wi-Fi, through your cable internet, and you're going to play the games via the cloud.
And again, the reason that they're doing a Fire Stick now, because that is still technically something, is because they just haven't built the technology into TVs yet. But you can bet your ass moving forward, every TV is going to come with an Xbox subscription.
And especially as infrastructure gets better and internet gets faster everywhere else, this is going to become the norm. Even Sony, who had the foresight 10 years ago to buy cloud specialty streaming studios to bring them under their umbrella. Everybody knows this is the way, in the industry knows this is the way things are going to go. The consoles are going to be a thing of the past. Physical media, as much as you may hate to admit it, is going to be a thing of the past. Nobody will own anything. It's all going to be in the cloud. And also, by the way, conveniently, Microsoft also just increased the price of Game Pass. So,
smart.
It's smart. They gonna make, if you want, it's this thing. If you want to get the really big games on day one, you got to pay a couple extra bucks. Not a lot, but a couple, because we are still seeing that with all the streaming services,
They've also got about 10 years of research on Game Pass now. So they know exactly what to do. They know the popularity. They know how it works. Microsoft, not waiting. They're just saying right away, you don't need to have the console anymore unless you want it. I'm going to say it again. There may be one more thing, but it's not going to be a massive release. It's going to be a very expensive and probably exclusive thing if you want it.
Yes.
The next consoles are not going to be consoles. Also, I wonder if this is why Nintendo has held off a little bit on Switch 2, which is a totally different thing. And there's totally a place for that.
The portability of the Switch is what will always have that, give it an edge in certain regards. But I think you're going to see over the next 18 months, you will see a new generation of consoles, and then that'll be it. By the time we get to, by 2030, the console concept will be dead.
2030.
If again, that's assuming again, you're gonna have Switch 2 next year, maybe whatever the next
Switch,
Xbox is, the next PlayStation 6.
Can we call the Switch a console? I mean, is that fair?
Yes.
You think so?
I think it's still a console.
It's a mobile console.
That's what it is. It's a mobile console.
Yeah. So again, look, the question.
Now you're getting to the point where that the Switch 2 will be as powerful as an Xbox.
Well, this is the thing with mobile gaming. It's the question is, can you connect that to a device? Right. Which you already can do. There's a lot of things out there where you can already do that. But there's something about Nintendo. Nintendo's always been in its own little world with this thing. And again, the Switch is a different monster, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right. But when it comes to the primary at-home consoles, the ones you don't take with you, I think this is it. I said that this would be the last generation, and I believe that to be true. I believe the next generation of whatever we want to call them, not consoles, or the next evolution.
Yeah.
If there is a console available, I'm going to say it again, it's going to be a very limited edition type thing for the people who can't let go.
Yeah. Or again, depending on where
Yeah.
you live, if your infrastructure still isn't up to snuff with your internet. So I think you're going to get one more console.
Maybe.
One
But
more
again, I think
console
it's
from
going to
each
be
one.
limited release, Ray. And I think it's going to be very affordable. And again, the other thing too, that you might as well call it the no box, not the Xbox or the Play TV station, because that's what's going to happen, right? Now, those are free puns. You can spread them like wildfire. But again, we saw that this was going this way, guys. Anytime you see a big company testing out a streaming service today, that's what they're doing. They're trying to figure out the future and keeping in mind in 10 years, 15 years, this will be a totally different conversation. We don't know what the next evolution is beyond streaming.
We're gonna get chips in our brains, and we're just gonna see the games in our eyes. We're gonna be in the games. That's
well,
it,
we're seeing that
years.
now, and I'll tell you what. Using my Meta Quest 3, I can see why people would use. It's like you're in a movie theater, right? Why would you want to not be in a movie theater? It's pretty amazing technology. The chips in the brains is going to be our generation's big. Like, I'm not putting anything in my brain. Grandpa.
Right. We'll be older men, but we'll see it in our lifetime.
I have a feeling we're going to be the ones that can't do that until someone's like, well, it increases your brain power by 5,000%. I'm like, oh, so wait, welcome to Geeks Who Like Sports.
Will that finally allow me to focus on everything I need to do?
Wait, the podcast. Let's just say we're still doing this podcast in 30 years.
Yeah.
It would be so boring because it would be like, Ray, I just looked it up in my mind, and here's the answer. There's nothing to talk about anymore. You remember back in the 20s? Things were good.
The 2020s. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what I was
somebody the other day described something as taking place in the late 1900s.
I hear it all the time.
And I cringed, and I'm like, oh.
I saw a great reel today where the one person asked the other person, "You were born in the 80s?" The guy goes, "Yeah." He's like, "So you're like an adult?" And the guy goes, "Well, I mean, not by choice."
Right. Yeah.
Because we're forever young.
Some of us are forever holding on to our youth.
Hey, I was born in the late 1900s. Listen, think about the 1880s. And when we grew up, all right, that's what we are. That's when the archives of this show are listened to in 2112. That's what they're gonna like. Wow, these losers.
They were right about the Acolyte, though. They were really smart about that one.
That guy totally called consoles going away. The statue, the great philosopher Elias, and his sidekick Ray. It's not that way. It's the other way around.
I'm fine being the sidekick. It's not a big deal.
We're Ray, the immortal couch potato, and his forever sidekick Lee, hockey schmuck.
What did Ray do? He had the highest gamer score ever.
Ever, yeah, recorded
in his lifetime.
Yeah.
So, oh goodness. Well, speaking of things going away, unfortunately, folks, it is time that we go away.
So long, farewell, Avida's goodbye. Get your MyBall. HockeyWraparound.com. Feed a dog. Come on.
MyBall. It's my MyBall.
It comes in a 3-pack, but I'm only holding 2 MyBalls right now. Do what you will with that. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Before Lee digs himself any further down that hole, for Lee, I am Ray. Thank you for tuning in. As always, folks, the Geeks Who Like Sports. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.